Part 4. Azukar Skull. Chapter 6. Summary. You alright, little bro, he asked. Why yeah, all good, Leo sputtered out. Donnie raised a brow. What's up with you? You got like a fever, or something. You look flushed, Donnie snarked. His hypothetical twin was usually not this shy. Mikey's face lit up and let out a long gasp. Oh, and I get it. It's not flush, it's blush, he exclaimed. Notes. The final chapter. Mwahaha, it's 100% fluff to make up for all the hardships and bullshit these boys went through. There's still disclaimers in the end's notes, more or less. It's really not that bad, I swear. Smiley face. See the end of the chapter for more notes. Chapter text. Donnie found himself back in the forest, thick with fog. He walked for a while. Step, 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 step. In the middle of the fog, he saw the blue sun. The sun ushers the moon to follow. Step, 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 step. At the end of the fog, he saw the orange comet, the large red planet, the silver stardust, the yellow supernova, the green aurora light, and a large purple spaceship. Its headlights were heterochromatic, yellow and green. Into the spaceship they climbed on. They launched into space, free, and never alone again. Donnie woke up. He yawned and stretched before reaching for his phone. It was 2 days after Leo's last therapy session, and those 2 days were a lot. For starters, Raph got that family meeting going. Everyone was there. Raph, Donnie, Leo, Mikey, Splinter, April, Casey, and Sheldon. Donnie carried him. It was not a fun talk. Talking about Leo was to be expected. Everyone sorta knew by this point. It was just a matter of Mikey, Splinter, April, and Casey learning about his alcohol addiction, that what got them. They knew about the scars. Leo's arms were now covered in pin doodles. It was easy to tell what his doodles were and which ones were Mikey's. Donnie's talk was tougher. What surprised Donnie was how chill Casey was. The teen was only surprised that the plasma gun could even make such a huge explosion. Apparently in the future, Donnie didn't have access to a whole lab, so the end result of the plasma guns had the same firepower as a regular shotgun. Nothing more. But that was 2 days ago. Right now it was morning. Donnie was lying in bed, scrolling through his phone. It felt nice to lie down again without the discomfort of his battle shell. Morning, Bertello, Sheldon chimed as he flew into the subway car. Just last night, Donnie finally got him fully working again. Right back to normal. Though of course as soon as he was done, Sheldon promptly ushered Donnie into bed. Donnie immediately crashed into sleep. Good Darwin, I needed that. Good morning, Sheldon, Donnie yawned. How are your systems? Is everything still working okay? Yes, Sheldon exclaimed as he did a flip in the air. All smooth sailing. That's good, Donnie hummed as he stretched his arms once more before climbing down the bunk bed. So Sheldon droned. So what? Donnie asked, putting on his battle shell. You said that once I was all fixed. We'd go anywhere I want. Wait. You want to do that now? The soft shell asked as he tied his purple mask around his head. I mean, sure. We could go out and see how you take larger scale flights topside in. Gnarly. Let's go, Sheldon cheered as he zoomed out of the room. Donnie rushed after him as he put on his belt and goggles. Sheldon. Wait. Donnie hurried after the robot, hopping on one leg at a time as he haphazardly put on his black socks and gloves. Sheldon zipped by the other turtle brothers, who stared in awe at the little bot, amazed that he was back in business. But Donnie didn't have time to explain or say hi as he chased down his son. Activating the jetpack in his battle shell, Donnie followed Sheldon up the sewer's topside. They both soared high up into the air. Sheldon flipped, zigzagged, curly fried, turtle spinned, and whatever kind of tricks in the air. Donnie, however, was screaming internally. Careful, we don't know how much processing your new rotors can fully take yet. They're made of spare parts and could still be faulty, Donnie called out. I'm all good, dude. Don't worry, Sheldon shouted back. Okay. Just stay close to me. The purple duo, Dude IDFK, soared off together as the morning sunrise brightened up New York City. They stopped by a cafe so that Donnie could get himself some coffee. Sheldon nagged him to eat something too. But coffee and pure spite was all Donnie needed to keep going. Donnie took Sheldon to a bunch of the places he wanted to see. The drone races, the park, Repo's scrapyard. Donnie was also able to fill Sheldon in on the Krong invasion as they explored the areas of the city that were still destroyed. So many places in just a few hours. Donnie didn't realize how overwhelming it was until they were strolling through a ruined road, coated in debris. These places look super totaled. It's like we're in an apocalypse. Sheldon gawked in awe at the broken streets and buildings. Oh yeah, didn't that Casey dude say he was from an apocalyptic future? Man, that sounds tough. The robot continued flying around, exploring the structures. Donnie wasn't paying much attention. He crouched down on the curb, picking at the broken concrete. He was not used to being up in action this early in the morning, though it was like 9 a.m. That was still early to Donnie. Suddenly, a siren rang out in the distance. No surprise, it was New York. But even though it was super far away, it felt so loud. Donnie increased the noise reduction in his goggles. The soft shell rocked on his heels, trying to silence out the noise. Why was everything so loud? It wasn't just noise. The concrete was loud, the rocking was loud, the smell of ash was loud. Everything was just loud, loud, loud. Sheldon nudged his snout underneath Donnie's arms, making his way onto the softshell's lap. "D, you with me, bro?" the robot asked. Donnie took a moment to recognize his robot here. He nodded, leaning back so he could sit down comfortably. "I'm with you," he mumbled. "What's going on? Is it that siren?" Sheldon asked as he pressed his little robot weight against Donnie's plastron. The weight was comforting. Donnie smiled, petting the bot. "That's one factor of the equation." "Yeah," Donnie nodded. "I think we just saw too many places at once." "Oh, that makes sense," Donnie sighed. "I wish my brain was as efficient as your processor, able to take in so much information at once. And I wish I was waterproof," Sheldon teased. "Or be able to taste food and smell stuff." The two both shared a laugh. It was great to have Sheldon fully back in action. Donnie wiped away the small pearls of tears from his eyes. "Ready to get out of here?" Sheldon asked. "Yeah, let's go," Donnie smiled. Later that day, Leo was persistent on dragging his brothers to run-of-the-mill for some lunch. It had been a long time since they had a good dine-in at Weso's. It had been a long time since they had seen Weso. Sheldon came with, of course. Not for 1 minute did he leave Donnie's side. The two were inseparable. They reached the alleyway in front of the restaurant, Leo waving a hand as the wall opened to reveal the venue. Sheldon gawked at the place. It was his first time seeing a place populated by yokai. The slider waved at the skeleton. "Hola, Weso," Leo called out. Weso whipped his head over at the group. "Pepino?" he shouted. Weso rushed over to Leo, swinging him around in a tight hug. "Thank God and la Virgencita. You're okay, what?" Leo mumbled. He pulled back from the hug. "How did you?" Weso's eye sockets turned towards Mikey, who was averting his gaze, fidgeting his fingers. Everyone else turned to the box turtle as well. Mikey sighed. Okay, I told him," Mikey admitted. "You know Senor Weso cares about you too. I had to update him on what's been going on since you passed out that one time." Leo sighed, turning back to Weso. "I'm sorry for making you worry, Tio. Are you kidding? You're me so Reno. I'm just so glad you're all right." Weso smiled. He waved a hand for everyone to follow him. Come. Let me take you to your table. A lot has changed since you've last been here. We've had some new hires." "New hires? What happened?" Raph asked as the group sat down at their usual booth. Raph and Mikey sat in the middle, while Leo and Donnie sat across from each other at the edges, Sheldon by Donnie's side. It was the invasion," Weso sighed. "My workers kept missing shifts because of complications with their families. Ironically enough, the new hires were people looking for jobs because of the invasion." The skeleton yokai chuckled wryly, rubbing the back of his skull. Then his face lit up. "Tell you what, I'll get one of our new waiters to serve you. You'll love him. He's a charming young niño around your age," Weso exclaimed, pointing at Leo on age. "We'd be happy to meet him," Mikey smiled. Weso turned on his heel and walked off. Donnie didn't have to worry about his order. He had memorized the menu by this point and would order the same thing every time. There was less hassle that way. "I'm sorry for talking to Weso, Leo. I should have asked first." Mikey turned to his immediate older brother. "It's all right, hermano. I'm not mad at you," Leo smiled, playfully giving the youngest a noji on the head. Soon enough, the waiter came around. A white rabbit yokai with his ears tied up like a ponytail, with blue ribbon, red eyeliner under his yellow eyes, with black pupils, and an eyebrow slid on his left brow. The rabbit smiled in greeting. "Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Usagi. I'll be your waiter today," said the rabbit. "Have you guys been here before?" he asked as he handed everyone their menus. "Yeah, we visit a lot," Raph replied with a grin. "Nice to meet you. That's great then. So can I get you guys some drinks, or do you need a minute?" Usagi asked, bringing out his notepad. "I'll just take a water," Donnie spoke up. Not every place served flavorless juice after all. "Seriously, what is that?" "Mandarin soda, please," Raph asked. "Can I please get a lemonade?" Mikey asked next. "Sure. Water, Mandarin soda, lemonade." Usagi wrote down the orders as he talked. Then he turned to Leo. "And for you." Leo stared for a moment before he quickly looked away, staring at the table. "Oh, water. Please," he stammered. His cheeks turned red. Got it. Be right back, the rabbit smiled as he left. Leo ducked his head down, burying his face in his hands. Raph turned to him. You alright, little bro, he asked. Why yeah, all good, Leo sputtered out. Donnie raised a brow. What's up with you? You got like a fever, or something. You look flushed, Donnie snarked. His hypothetical twin was usually not this shy. Mikey's face lit up and let out a long gasp. Oh, and I get it. It's not flush, it's blush, he exclaimed. No it's not, Leo protested, nudging Mikey with his elbow. As Sheldon taunted. Someone's in lieu of SH. Not so loud, Sheldon, Leo hissed. What? With that guy, Donnie scoffed. Dude, that's like the bare minimum. You need better tastes. Leo rolled his eyes. Says the guy whose type is cute but mean? I mean, come on, Don. Yeah, but at least I have standards. You'll practically fall for the most generic man. Not true, guys, quit it, Mikey cut in. This is a special moment that calls for Dr. Feelings, he added, rubbing his hands together with a grin. Leon, my dearest brother, you are not leaving this establishment without landing that guy's number, no. Leo shook his head profusely, frantically, waving his hands in front of him. No way. No, not happening. What's not happening? Wayso asked as he came back around. Leo has a crush, Mikey sing-songed. Mikey, Leo snapped back. A crush you say, the skeleton smirked. Well, don't hold out on your cute Pepino. Please do tell. Leo wavered a hand. No, it's nothing. Usagi, Donnie answered for him. The corners of his beak cracked into a smile as Leo scowled at him. A wonderful, Wayso clapped. A young love. So when do you plan on making a move? Never. Leo enunciated. Come on now. No nephew of mine will stand down, Wayso pressed on. Donnie teased. Yeah, don't be bitchless, that made Sheldon snicker. I am perfectly content with that, Leo snobbed. Wayso rolled his eye sockets. He pulled out his phone to find something. How's this? If you don't make the move yourself, I'll show him this. Wayso held up his phone to the group to reveal a photo of Leo wearing his emo makeup and a black crop top hoodie. Mikey and Donnie bursted out laughing. You wouldn't, Leo grumbled. Oh, I would. Believe me, Pepino. No, Raph. Back me up here. Leo desperately turned to the oldest. Oh, don't look at me, Raph chuckled. This is your chance, Leo. Shoot your shot. It is decided then, Mikey stated. Get the rabbit's number, or else the photo gets leaked to him. And our social feeds. Leo pressed his backhand to his forehead as he leaned back dramatically. Oh, the betrayal. Stabbed in the back by my own flesh and blood. How could you? Leo droned sarcastically. Leo's dramatics were then interrupted by a laugh. Family feud, Usagi smiled as he brought back everyone's drinks. Donnie nodded in thanks as he took his water. He turned to his twin to see Leo blush red right on cue. Wayso rolled his eye sockets, placing a hand on Usagi's shoulder. Koneho, while you're here, I should mention that these folks are my familia. More or less, Wayso exclaimed. Oh, meet. Nice to meet you guys. Are again? Usagi grinned. Over here is Ejote Donnie, Donnie corrected sharply. Oh, right. Apologies, Wayso laughed. This is Raph, Mikey, and this handsome fellow is Leo. Leo beat the crong, Mikey pointed out. Knock it off. Mikey, Leo gritted under his breath. Wait, that was you guys up in the air, Usagi gasped. Well, I've only heard the rumors. That sounds like it was pretty tough, actually. Well, yeah it was, Leo stammered. But we managed, he smiled weakly. Donnie suppressed a scoff. Yeah, we managed it somehow, all right. Usagi is a samurai, Wayso boasted, shaking the rabbit by the shoulders. Oh please, I'm still in training, Usagi chuckled, rubbing the back of his head. Leo's our leader, Mikey boasted back. Sure, but I'm still pretty new to it, Leo blushed. Still got a lot to learn, I dunno, Donnie shrugged. It could be worse. Like when you suggested mandatory karaoke nights. They boost team morale. Speaking of, Mikey chimed in, still turned to Usagi. Leo is an amazing singer. Leo nudged his elbow at Mikey's plastron. Donnie snickered. Yeah, if you can count that cat screeching as singing, Donnie teased. Leo shot him a look. He signed, dude. Aren't you trying to help me here? I'm just letting the guy know what he's getting into, Donnie signed back with a smug smile. Mikey pointed out, Leo has mystic powers that allow him to teleport and make portals. Scoff, Donnie interrupted. We all have mystic powers. Leo's is just the more simple ones. Well, that's cool, Usagi smiled. Leo is also our medic. He's super smart, Mikey retaliated, now turning to Donnie. He may be our medic, but I'm still the smart one. I made lots of more fancy tech, Donnie snarked back. Okay, well, he is really good at dodging attacks and parkour, until he trips over himself and gets his mask tails caught. Leo speaks Spanish. Mikey got up, slamming his hands on the table. Donnie smirked ever more. So do I and Raph. You're the only one who's still learning. He gives great pep talks that help the team. Yeah, with a whole spotlight and glitter shining down on him like the dramatic flamboyant theater kitty is ding. Table 16, a chef called out from the kitchen. Oh, that's my cue, Usagi pointed out. He smiled nervously. Well, it was nice meeting you guys. He walked off towards the kitchen. Mikey slumped back into his seat as Donnie laughed. Leo was staring darts at his twin. His whole face was redder than red. You two are both embarrassing. You made Usagi feel awkward around me, Leo snapped. Oh, come on, Leo. We were just helping you since you decided to clam up and trip on your words, Donnie teased. Leo scoffed. You are ridiculous. Know you what? I'm gonna apologize to him on behalf of you guys since it seems like my brothers have reverted back to kindergartners. Leo got up and waltzed off towards the rabbit. The three brothers and Weiso watched as Leo walked over to Usagi, unable to hear their conversation over the sounds of the restaurant. Donnie could see Leo sweating bullets. He hadn't seen the Slider this nervous since when he first used his mystic oddity and realized it wasn't working. Then Leo snapped finger guns and put on a dumb smile, the face he made whenever he told a bad pun. Oh Leo, no, what are you doing, you fool? Usagi laughed. Usagi laughed. Leo told another joke, more confidently. Usagi laughed again. Donnie was stunned. Oh sweet Galileo, they're both idiots. If Leo actually managed to pull this off, Donnie would have to deal with twice the bad jokes. The soft shell grimaced. Usagi was talking now. No one had a clue what he was saying, but then he pulled out his notepad, writing something down. He handed the paper to Leo before walking off. Leo stared at the slip of paper in awe. Holy shit, he actually did it. Mikey held up his fist for a fist bump. Donnie returned it. A few days had passed. Donnie and Sheldon were in the lab. Sheldon was soaring around in the air, happy to be able to fly again. Don't knock anything over, Donnie called out as he worked. I won't. Trust me, Sheldon called back before he bumped into a tool cart and knocked over a wrench. Oops. Donnie rolled his eyes, continuing his next project. A pair of compression gloves for Mikey. Donnie tried not to dwell on the fact that he should have made these a long time ago. Better late than never. After a short while, the gloves were complete. They looked similar to Mikey's old black ones, except the gray lines were now a bright orange and thicker. At that moment, Mikey popped into the room. Dad brought pizza. So come get it before Raph eats it all, the box turtle called out. Angelo. Perfect timing, Donnie smiled. Here. Donnie handed Mikey the gloves. Mikey pinched his brows and tilted his head with curiosity. He looked back up at Donnie. What are these? He asked. Donnie answered. They're compression gloves. Compression gloves? Precisely. They will help ease your tremors, for the most part, making it easier to use your arms without shaking so much, Donnie explained. Mikey switched out his old gloves for the new ones as the soft shell rambled on. And I even designed them to do so much more than that. For instance, they still have the communication device hooked up to it for obvious convenience. But the best part is that they will store up any excess mystic energy that sparks out, allowing you to reuse it into your spells more efficiently and at less cost. Wow. Mikey gawked as he looked down at the gloves on his arms. The mystic warrior gingerly expelled a small flame in his hand. His expression relaxed as the flame came to life. He smiled wide, letting out a surprised chuckle. It doesn't hurt, he muttered breathlessly. Then he shouted, It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Donnie, you're amazing. Mikey laughed as he immediately squeezed his older brother in a tight hug. Donnie quickly reciprocated the hug. It felt nice. Mikey deserved to be happy after everything he had been through. All of Donnie's brothers deserved to be happy after everything they had been through. So after Mikey happily scampered off with his new gloves to show Raph and Leo, Donnie got to work on making other gifts for his brothers. Donnie wasn't good at saying sorry for being an asshole. His language was through the tech he made. All of the inventions that Donnie had ever created were for his family. So maybe, it would be enough to make things go back to normal. For Donnie to atone for what he had done. Donnie's gifts had a lot more consideration in them this time. A few days after Mikey excitedly showed Raph and Leo his new gloves that Donnie made him, the Slider was now chilling in the TV room with his boyfriend. Boyfriend? Are we even on that level yet? It's only been like 2 weeks, chill. But there they were in the TV room playing Mario Kart together. How romantic. Leo was usually pretty good at demolishing his brothers at Mario Kart, but holy shit, Usagi was crushing him. Was he secretly the master at everything? As much Leo loathed to admit it, Usagi had better looks, better jokes, better smiles, better gaming skills, he was just better than Leo. It surprised the red-eared slider back at run-of-the-mill when he went to apologize to Usagi, that the rabbit actually laughed at his bad jokes. No one ever laughed at Leo's jokes except for Mikey, but Usagi's laughs were more genuine, like it was the funniest thing Leo had ever heard in his entire life. Back then, Leo had confessed to Usagi that the reason why his brothers were acting weird was because Leo had a crush on the bunny and his brothers were attempting to help. Leo was ready for Usagi to give him the cold shoulder then and there, but he didn't. He just smiled and said it was okay. Then Leo made a joke, and the rest was history. Boom! First place. Take that, Kappa, Usagi cheered, throwing his arms up in the air as the game came to an end. What? No fair. You totally cheated, Leo complained as his character raced through the finish line at a very close second place. Guess the tortoise couldn't beat the hare after all. Huh. Ha ha, the rabbit teased. Leo bursted out laughing. The joke wasn't even that good, but that didn't stop Leo from cackling with the most embarrassing voice ever. How was Usagi this funny? Was it because he was cute? Do cute people have a naturally gifted power to be outrageously hilarious? New game, Leo challenged. I demand a rematch, best 2 out of 3, Usagi asked. You're on. The game restarted. The race was on. Leo started taking the lead for a while, but it didn't take long for Usagi to catch up. The two were silent in concentration. Leo zeroed in, putting all of his focus into mopping the floor with Usagi, but his arms were getting itchy. It was the pen doodles that now decorated his arms, an upgrade from the itching of the scars, but man, they were getting really itchy. Leo desperately wanted to scratch them but didn't want to risk fucking up his race. It didn't take long for the itchiness to take over. Leo awkwardly shifted the controller, trying to drive, with just the one hand while itching his arms with the other. The scratching didn't last very long, but damn, it was annoying. Now everything in his body suddenly decided to jump in and tell Leo where it itches. Usagi glanced over at the slider's arms before snapping his attention back to the race. "Y'all know I'm kinda jealous," the rabbit spoke up. "What?" Leo asked, trying his best to keep his eyes on the game. "You get to draw on your arms." "I can't do that, I have for," Usagi shrugged. "I keep thinking about all the tattoos I won't be able to have. It's no fair." Leo thought for a moment, smacking one of the racers with a blue shell. "Wanna draw something on my arm, really? You let me," Usagi smiled, turning his head over for a second before his character went out of bounds. "Yeah. You know what? Let's make it a bet. If I win, I get to choose what you draw. If you win, you get to choose." Leo flashed a determined grin at him. "Ahaho. I'm so gonna draw something embarrassing," Usagi teased as he turned back to the game. "Then I better not let you win." The game was tense. Leo and Usagi were hot on each other's tails, neither of them sticking in the lead for long. During the second lap, Leo's mind began to wander. It had been a long time since he smiled like this. Been a long time since he played Mario Kart like this. Because the last time he did, Leo climbed up a building. Any building would do. After all, it's New York. He savored each moment as he climbed. The sights of the city, especially how beautiful it was at night. The sounds of cars honking and sirens wailing in the distance. The cold, breezy autumn air. He pictured the image of seeing his brothers one last time. They were smiling and laughing. Raph beat Mikey at Mario Kart. Donnie challenged not only to beat Raph but also beat his time as well. The memory faded as Leo reached the rooftop. Stupid, Leo thought to himself. Why was I so stupid? I shouldn't have. If Donnie hadn't stepped in, I would've. "Leo, what's wrong?" Usagi asked, placing a hand on the slider's shoulder. Leo blinked back to reality, instinctively turning towards the projection screen, but the game was paused. He turned to Usagi, noticing that his own breathing was quickened. Leo took a deep breath, putting back on his smiling facade. It was a bad habit at this point. "Oh, it's nothing," Leo chuckled. "Just got distracted." Usagi tilted his head in confusion. "Yeah, you tend to get distracted a lot. You gotta talk to me, Bluebell. What's really going on?" Leo sighed, pausing for a moment. "I mean, what is there to say? You've already heard about us fighting the Krong. Things have just gotten out of hand afterwards. It can't get tough, but I'll be okay." Easier said than done, but Leo knew that things were improving, even if it didn't feel like it. Usagi frowned a bit, not seeming too convinced. "You know that I'm here for you, right?" "Sure, we may not have known each other for long, but I still care about you. If we want to make this work, you will have to let me in." Leo's smile faltered as he reached for the rabbit's hand on his shoulder. He nodded. Usagi quickly pulled him into a hug. Their first hug. Okay, Leon, don't freak out. Usagi's fur was soft. Really soft. Leo hugged him back tightly. It felt nice, warm, and cuddly. The next words just slipped out of Leo's mouth. I love you to a couple days later. Donnie was back in his lab working on a new project. A big project. For a big guy. Dare I say this is one of my best works yet. On the workbench was a bunch of metal scraps, shaded in red. Sheldon was keeping himself busy by trying to stack tools on top of each other using his snout. Donnie was working his way through it, melding the pieces together, when Leo waltzed in. He had a new pin doodle on his shoulder, a bunny with aviator sunglasses. Didn't look like Leo's work or Mikey's. The slider sighed dramatically, flopping into the spare seat at the computer. Donnie rolled his eyes. Trouble in paradise, Nardo, he teased. Yes, no. Leo sputtered. Period, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Sagi is so cool and I'm such a fucking mess. So you came to me, the emotionless twin, for love advice, and not doctor feelings, Donnie mumbled, not looking away from his work. Leo scoffed. No offense to the guy, but Mikey's been real pushy when it comes to me and Yuichi. He's been starting to call himself Dr. Matchmaker. Donnie laughed wryly. How many doctorates does that kid have? Enough? Leo laughed back. Then he cleared his throat. Still though, I'm worried that my emotional baggage will be too much of a burden to him. I don't want to scare him away. Whoa, great Galileo. Not this again, Donnie grumbled. Leo, for the millionth time, you're not a burden to anyone. It's not like you're expecting him to be your therapist, right? What? No, of course not. Then how come you're happier around him? Donnie smirked as he turned his chair around to look at his brother. Leo looked up at him. Period, I don't know. I guess I just feel better knowing that he's there, he answered slowly. He doesn't have to be good with advice or know how to help. Just the fact that he's there is more than enough. Donnie nodded. Same applies to me. And Raph and Mikey and all of us. We're here for you because we care about you. And when our help became limited, we worked together to find someone who could. It's not that different. You aren't a burden to us. You aren't a burden to Usagi. Leo smiled, seemed relieved. Wow, that was some solid advice, he chuckled dryly. Thanks, D. Of course, Donnie replied, returning back to his work. He added, and if Usagi does fuck up and breaks your heart, I'll ready the disposal units. The softshell shot a wink at Sheldon. Leo laughed. Then he sighed again. Man, Yuichi is just so dreamy. And his fur is so soft and his laugh is just oh for fuck's sakes, please shut up. 4 days and 3 hours later, Donnie had been keeping track. His next invention was complete. A big invention. For a big brother. Donnie draped a cloth over the invention. He turned to Sheldon. It's time, he smiled. Go get Raph on it, dude, Sheldon chirped as he zoomed out of the lab. Donnie shook his fists excitedly, rocking on his heels. Oh, I really hope this works. If anything breaks down again, I'm going to lose my mind again, I guess. Raph was escorted into the lab by Sheldon moments later. He looked a bit confused as the robot nudged him into the room. Shelly here's been saying you got something to show me, he asked. Yes, Donnie answered enthusiastically. I've spent the past week working on something that'll help improve your fighting skills on the field. And it looks super flashy if I do say so myself. This isn't anything like your last gift, is it? Donnie rolled his eyes and exasperated. Of course not, Raphael. That was years ago. He unveiled the cloth with theatrics. Behold, a shell prosthetic to fit your missing shell piece. But just you wait until you see what it can do. On the table was what looks like the top of a black backpack strap with 2 red metal pieces on the end. One piece was bigger than the other. Donnie helped Raph set it up. The strap sat on his left shoulder. The bigger piece wedged in perfectly into the hole in his shell, while the smaller piece snugged into the crack in his plastron. If the metal wasn't a brilliant bright red, it would have blended in perfectly as if Raph's shell was never chipped in the first place. This is great, D. Thanks, Raph smiled brightly. I'm not done yet, Donnie chuckled. I hooked up a mystic crystal to it. Don't ask how, took me ages before giving up and calling up Draxum. And now this new tech gives you the ability to try out a new combat skill that I shall gracefully name the shell wall. Basically, you know how your ninpo allows you to make multiple hologram clones of yourself or balloon your size. The shell wall is practically an extension of that, Donnie ranted excitedly. Wait, it can do what? Donnie rambled on, jittery with pure amazement for his craft as he paced around in front of Raph. You just tap this button on the big piece here, while activating your ninpo, and then voila. You can make a hologram clone of your very own shell, and that shell clone can be any size you want it to be too. You can plant it into the ground, and have it act as a wall, or cover your head to protect from projectiles, or use it as a shield, or frisbee it to catch someone. I mean, how crazy useful is that? Ha! Donnie heaved, catching his breath. He didn't notice how dizzy he felt under all of his excitement. He walked over to the workbench, grabbing his mug of pure black coffee, which was now cold, and started chugging it down. Whoa, slow down there, Donnie. Let's take a break, okay, Raph crooned, hovering his hands out as he walked over to his brother. Donnie shook his head. He finished his drink, wiping his beak with the back of his hand. I gotta show you how it works. Come on, let's go out topside where there's space. You can show me it later. I'm grateful for the gift, D, but you gotta rest for a bit, Raph negotiated. Just a few hours, get some sleep and something to eat and then we can go out, come on, Donnie beckoned, already heading out of the lab. He turned around, clasping his hands and putting on his puppy dog eyes. Pretty pleasy. I'll take a break afterwards, promise. Raph sighed exasperatedly. Fine, you get 10 minutes. Yippee, Donnie cheered, rushing over towards the exit of the lair. Sheldon, could you make me some more coffee for when I get back? Sheldon, don't, Raph intervened, hurrying after the soft shell. Sheldon looked in between the brain and the brawn. Conflicting orders, selecting priority. I'm your creator. I get first priority, Donnie called out. I'm the oldest, Raph snapped back. The older brothers made it topside and landed on a nearby rooftop, with wide open space. The sky was clear and sunny, but the ground was coated in late January snow. Donnie bounced on his heels as Raph sighed, rubbing his neck. All right, your 10 minutes start now, Raph mumbled. Then he smiled. Show me, Donnie gestured toward the button he explained earlier. Raph did so, his red ninpo whirling and crackling in his arms. Then, like a sword out of its scabbard, unsheathed a large holographic mystic replica of Rafe's shell. To Raph, it seemed weightless to carry, but it hit the concrete with a large thud as Raph planted it into the ground. Whoa, you really outdid yourself, D. Raph chuckled. Donnie bowed. But of course, I always put in 110%. Then he approached the shell, tapping on it. Fascinating. It should have the same strength as your ninpo form. Raph nodded, forming a mystic red gauntlet around his fist. He put in all his might into punching the shell. It made a resounding thunk, reverberating around the turtles. Looks that way, Raph spoke up, nodding a bit. Oh, try making it a shield, Donnie bounced, clapping his hands together. His invention was working better than he thought. Raph obliged. In one swift motion, he unsheathed a smaller shell, which hovered over his arm like a shield. Donnie laughed with enthusiasm, pulling out his bow staff and lighting up his mystic ability as he whacked the shield. It was holding its own pretty well. Donnie exclaimed as he jumped up and down across the rooftop. Yes, this is incredible. Imagine all the possibilities. It has so many practical uses. It can be a wall, a shelter, a shield, a frisbee, a throwing star, a board, a carrier, and... Donnie lost his footing, tripping over himself in his own dizziness, and started falling to the floor. Raph caught him with a shell wall before he could hit the ground. And a bed, which is where you should be in right now, Raph smirked, crossing his arms. Donnie groaned, stretching out flat across the shell bed. I'm fine, Raph. Besides, the 10 minutes aren't even up yet, Donnie complained as he checked his wrist tech. It had been 8 minutes. Your eye bags have eye bags, Raph smirked. He walked over and lifted up the shell bed with ease and gave Donnie a pat on the head. Come on, let's get going, Donnie grumbled but didn't have it in him to protest. Raph seemed to really like his new gift. So it was a mission successful. A couple days went by. Splinter had taken notice of Orange's and Red's new equipment. They seemed overjoyed by their gifts. Good, those boys need more reasons to smile these days, Splinter thought to himself as he made his way to the kitchen to brew some tea. Upon entering the kitchen, the rat saw that Rabbit Yoke, who Blue had become so fond of, pouring himself a glass of water. What was the rabbit's name again? Yuzo, Alge, Usagi, calling him Rabbit was easier. Greetings, Rabbit. It's nice to see you again, Splinter smiled. Whoa, and Mr. Hamato. It's nice to see you too, Usagi forced a smile as his posture straightened in Splinter's presence. This made the rat chuckle. Please, there's no need for formalities, Rabbit. You can just call me Splinter like the rest of my sons. Usagi's shoulders relaxed, but he still remained tense. Splinter shrugged, setting up the tea kettle before placing it on the stove and waiting for the water to boil. There was an awkward pause for a moment. So Rabbit, tell me, Splinter spoke up. What do you think of my son? Surely, he's not getting into any trouble again, the rat chuckled. Oh, no, not at all. Leonardo is great. I can tell he takes a lot after you, Usagi smiled. In a good way or a bad way, Splinter thought to himself. He grinned and nodded. Good, good. So tell me about yourself, Rabbit. I heard you were a samurai. Is that right? Splinter remembered that the Shredder was also a samurai. But the rabbit posed no threat. Yeah, well, I'm still in training, but I have gotten incredibly good at it. I've also been working part-time at run-of-the-mill Weso's place. That skeleton is such a nice guy. How have you come to meet him? Usagi's face lit up. Oh, this is a story. During the Krong invasion, my sensei and my friends and I were helping people get to hidden city bunkers. That's when I met Senor Weso and his son. We helped them get to safety, but then later, Weso practically pleaded with us to help him sneak out of the lockdown. Something about an extended family in need of supplies. Splinter suddenly remembered that story. Ay Dios mío, Weso exclaimed. I'm glad that I was hiding in the hidden city during the invasion. Oh yeah, that's right. Mikey chimed in. What happened to the hidden city? The city council took everyone further down into bunker shelters. Many army forces were running about and trying to close off all the gateway portals so the Krong couldn't get in. Heck, the place is still on lockdown. I was only able to weasel my way out with the help of some friends, Weso explained in an uptight manner. The rat nodded in acknowledgement. The rabbit had helped his family in many ways before they met. He seemed to be a good kid, a fine fit for his son. Well, I better get going. Leo's probably waiting for me. It was nice talking to you again, Sir Usagi waved as he left the kitchen with his glass of water in hand. The tea kettle went off soon after. Splinter hummed to himself as he smiled. Finally, I'll get to marry off a son. Another week had passed. Donnie hadn't gotten much sleep besides the time Raph forced him to take a break. But he couldn't rest yet. On the workbench was yet another brand new project. He covered it with a cloth, giving Sheldon another nod as the little robot turtle zoomed out to fetch the last brother to receive a gift. Donnie stifled a yawn. Great Curie, I'm beat. I'm adding an invention that can keep me awake forever to my list. The soft shell nodded to himself as Leo stumbled into the room, being dragged by the masked tails by Sheldon. Which wasn't the smartest choice given that those masked tails and the remaining hanging stars could get caught in the rotors. Donnie, control your robo, son. Leo exclaimed, tugging his masked tails back away from Sheldon. Leo! Great! You gotta come see this, Donnie grinned. I made you something that I think you'll greatly appreciate, period. This isn't like your last gift, right? I swear if it's a shock collar again. No, why does everyone keep saying that? It's not like last time. Good, Donnie rolled his eyes, turning around to the workbench, and swiftly unveiling the cloth. Ta stinking da, he retorted. On the table was a handful of glimmering blue shuriken, each shaped like a six-spoked sun. The holes in the center each held an icy blue crystal shard. There were 6 pieces total. No way. Ninja stars, Leo gawked as he loomed over the table to get a better look. Precisely, my friend, these shuriken are not only for practical ninjutsu use. But I've also spruced them up with some mystic tech. And I didn't need Draxum's help this time. These stars should work exactly like your katanas. When activated with your ninpo, they can create a bunch of portal ways, giving you more portals to work with besides just the 2 Donnie rented. I'd be happy to let you test them out. Test them out? You mean? Leo looked up but was quickly interrupted by Donnie turning on his heel towards the safe. Donnie was hesitant at first, but he reminded himself about the discussion that Raph and Mikey agreed upon earlier. Donnie nodded to himself as he unlocked the safe and held out Leo's katanas. The soft shell smiled as he turned back around and bestowed the swords to the slider. Ahaho, Leo chuckled as he gratefully took the swords and swished them around in front of him. Then he sheathed the katanas back to their rightful place in the scabbards on the back of Leo's sash. I'm back, baby, under some conditions. Raph cut in from behind. He and Mikey were waiting by the doorway. There are some rules you need to follow. Rules? What rules? Leo exclaimed as he turned to face his brothers. You can only have your katanas when going on missions, Raph pointed out, placing his hands on his hips. And you gotta stick to a buddy at all times, Mikey chimed in, sticking out his tongue in a teasing manner. And the swords go right back in the safe when we return to the lair, Donnie added, crossing his arms. What? Oh come on, you guys don't trust me, Leo whined. When has trust ever been a thing to you, Donnie asked rhetorically. Leo scoffed. Okay fine, I agree to your terms and conditions. Now give me the shiny. He stuck out a hand, clenching and unclenching it greedily. Donnie rolled his eyes, suppressing a smirk as he scooped up the shuriken and deposited them into Leo's hands. The slider's eyes sparkled as he gawked over the stars. He squealed, bouncing on his knees. Donnie smiled fondly at his twin, admiring his work. This is gonna be so cool, Leo whisper shouted. What is? Usagi asked. He peered into the lab and spotted the shuriken. Whoa, shiny. I know, right? Leo chuckled. Then he gasped. You should come with us to see me try them out. Trust me, you'll love it. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, Leosagi laughed. Just give me a minute to use the bathroom, and then we'll go. Oh, of course, go ahead. We'll meet you topside. Leo waved off a hand as Usagi walked off. Hold on, Nardo, Donnie called out before Leo could take another step forward. One more thing you need to know, Mikey added. Leo sighed, spinning around to face his brothers. His brows lifted up as a way to say what. Raph walked over, taking a knee in front of the slider. He spoke gravely. If you get any urges, I surrender my weapons to you. Yeah, I think I get the memo, Leo babbled, rolling his eyes. Raph smiled softly and nodded, patting Leo's shoulder. Let's get going then. The turtles and the rabbit made it topside. As they parked their way up to the rooftop, Donnie was surprised that Usagi was able to keep up. The guy really knew his craft. When they reached the nearby rooftop, the sunny sky began to flurry with small flakes of snow. Leo took in the scene, before taking out his swords. Hachi, machi, Leo cheered as he swirled his swords around, and jumped through the portal that formed in front of him. The brothers and Usagi watched as Leo zipped in and out of portals, flying through the air. Donnie snickered when he saw the amazement in the rabbit's eyes. Leo laughed like a little kid as he zipped around in the sky. Alright, now, let's see what these babies can do, Leo crooned as he took out one of the shuriken from his back pouch. Spare glitter spilled out of the pouch as he did so. Leo tossed the star with ease, watching it form a portal with his ninpo. It worked as intended. Leo leapt through the portal and jumped back out another using his sword. The portals from the katanas and shuriken worked together, interconnected in their own network of portals. Leo cackled as he threw more ninja stars, jumping through them. At one point, he started throwing the shuriken at random objects like trash, and the others watched as the objects zipped and zapped through the portals all over the place. Donnie's eyes could barely keep up with everything that was moving. Leo cheered as he did so before finally landing in front of the group. This is so cool, Leo shouted between pants of breath. Do you know how useful this is for capture and rescue and stuff? Leo wheezed, holding himself up with his arms on his knees. He hadn't used his mystic powers in a long while, so spontaneously teleporting portals like that seemed to have taken a number on him. Donnie smiled. It was good to have the old Leo back. That was amazing, Leo, Usagi exclaimed, bright-eyed. You were like magic and shit, psh, Leo sputtered out, still heaving. That was nothing. Watch this. Leo took out his sword and stumbled backward into another portal. The group watched again as Leo portaled in and out in the air. This time, he mixed his parkour skills into it, jumping from roof to roof, swinging around the metal bars of street lights like an acrobat. No surprise there, Leo was the most agile on the team. But the gawking wonder-like gaze on Usagi's face was impossible not to laugh at. Donnie snickered, trying not to let it go more than a cackle. Leo jumped out another portal, grabbing onto a street light and swung around it until his momentum slowed, leaning his plastron against the bar and dangling upside down. He threw a shuriken at Usagi, but without hitting the rabbit. The star instead hovered in front of him before opening a portal. Leo stuck his head through the other side, popping his face out upside down in front of Usagi. His mass tails and star piercings drooped upside down as he did so. Usagi was slightly startled as Leo peered his head through the portal. But Leo just chuckled, leaning in to give Usagi a kiss. Damn, did it really take like 3 months for these bozos to finally have their first kiss? Donnie smirked to himself. Mikey and Raph cheered for the slider as he slinked back through the portal, and then landed next the group, through another portal. I'm sorry if this is confusing. There's so many fucking portals. It was nice to see Leo happy again. To see Raph and Mikey happy again. They needed this. They needed to be happy. A few more days later, Donnie was not in his lab this time. Instead, he was at April's and Casey's apartment. Given that Casey grew up in an apocalyptic timeline with no efficient source of education, he struggled a lot in his new school, and Donnie would often swing by to help tutor him. Donnie would have to agree when Casey complained about how so much of what he needed to learn in school had no such use in the apocalypse. If the world were to end again, they should be teaching us stuff like basic survival skills. When did algebra become so crucial to the survival of my well-being? Casey ranted, fumbling with his pencil in his hands at the dining table as he glared down at his algebra textbook like it owed him money. You're literally doing 6th grade math. It's not that hard, Donnie snarked, but not unkindly. Math was easy until they started adding letters into the mix, Casey shouted. Then he sighed, slamming his head into the book. His voice muffled. I think I'm just dumb. April scoffed. You literally saved the world. You're not dumb. You're a fast learner, CJ. You'll get it. April was on the other side of the dining table, sorting through mail. She was staring at one letter with a set line on her lips, before discarding it into a pile. Donnie leaned over and noticed it was a military acceptance letter. "Thanks, Commander O'Neill," Casey mumbled before following the group. "Commander? I like the sound of that," April smiled. No, she wouldn't be. "Hey Apes, what's that?" Donnie asked, pointing at the letter. "Oh that. Nothing," April shrugged. "Girl, what do you mean it's nothing? You enlisted." "I'm just considering other options," April explained hesitantly. "I mean, I still like going to college for now and becoming a news reporter. But after the whole Kron situation, I dunno. I've just been thinking about it. Maybe I still need to think on it more." "Whatever you pick, you'll be great at it," Casey chimed in, slumping over his homework. "You were a great commander in the past or future, so you'll be great at whatever you decide to do." "Thanks, Case," April smiled. There was some quiet for a bit, besides the usual pointers Donnie was giving Casey with his homework. Casey was getting the hang of it for a while, but he seemed to gradually lose his focus as time went on. Then suddenly, he closed the textbook. "Giving up for now?" Donnie asked, but not in a mean way. Casey shook his head. Then he thought for a moment. "How long has it been? Since the invasion?" "A few months." "Why?" Casey paused even longer. Then he finally spoke. I think I'm ready." "For what?" April asked. "To see my mom. It has now been a little over 8 months since the mad dog saved the world from the Krong. The present day is March 31st. Donnie, Sheldon, Raph, Mikey, Splinter, and Casey are at Central Park, making their way over to the meetup spot. April says to meet up at the Waffles and Dingus food stand on the Great Lawn Oval near the Delacorte Theater. Donnie reads out April's text to the group. "Oh, I know where that is," Mikey points out. "It's by Turtle Pond." "Ya mean where you snuck off to that one night?" Raph snarks. New Mikey drawls sheepishly with a grin. Anyways, where's Leo?" Mikey asks in an attempt to change the subject. "He and Usagi are on their way," Donnie answers. They reach the food stand and wait. Casey is very nervous, fumbling with his hands. Splinter chuckles, resting his hand on Casey's arm. "There's no need to fret, future boy. Cassandra is a very great woman. You'll see. Strong, brave, unstoppable." Cries over Toy Story 3. April teases as she meets up with the group. Cass is waiting by the pond overlook. "We'll wait until everyone gets here." She turns to Casey and shoots him a wink. "We'll have to call you two Junior and Senior." Leo and Usagi wave from a distance as they rush over to the group, holding hands. "Heya, guys," Leo calls out. "Who's ready for the best reunion ever?" "It's not really a reunion," Casey mumbles. "I know her but she doesn't know me. And what if she's not like how I remember her? What if we don't get along? What if? From what I know about the space-time continuum," Donnie interrupts with a smile, "she'll be exactly the same, yeah." "Don't worry, dude," Sheldon chimes in. "You got this?" Yeah says. "I got this," Casey grins. Everyone smiles, looking around at each other. Raph's eye bags are gone. He's been sleeping well again. Bad days still happen but he pulls through. Mikey finally got his arm surgery done. He's not able to put much strain on his arms at the moment, but he's been recovering just fine and soon enough, he'll be okay. Back to the way things were. Leo's condition has improved. There are less doodles on his arms, and Usagi seems to be a great match. His smiles are more genuine these days. And Donnie is just happy that the story is over now. They can close the series behind them, and move on to better days and more crazy adventures ahead. "Well, you ready?" April whispers, smiling at Casey. Casey nods. The group follows close behind as Casey makes his way to the overlook. Cassandra is leaning her arms over the dock, watching the ducks swim by in the water. Casey takes a few deep breaths. I got this, Casey mutters to himself. "I don't got this," he turns on his heel. "Oh, for fuck's sake," Mikey exasperates, shoving Casey back around, towards the overlook. Casey stumbles forward before walking over to Cassandra. Cass turns around, eyes flickering at the group before settling on the teen in front of her. She smiles brightly. "So you must be the infamous Casey Jones Jr. I've heard so much about," Cass taunts. Casey smiles, tears welling up in his eyes. "Yeah. Hi Mom, the end. Notes. Disclaimers, overstimulation, but bestie's gonna be all good. Implied self-harm habits urges. No more cutso. Mild panic attack, gay people." Now that we've reached the end, feel free to check out the concept art for this part. Currently still editing. If you're seeing this, that means it's been 5 minutes since I posted this, lol, give me a sec. Notes. And with that, my life, their story comes to an end. Had to pause to cry for a moment just now. It's been a wild journey, and I really appreciate spending time with all of you. I'm happy for the folks that I helped through my writing. Just knowing that this fic helped you feel better in the situations you're in makes me feel better about my own situations. Heart. I had a lot of all-time favorite moments, but if you were to ask me what I hated the most, I'd say Splinter. I made him look like a huge asshole, and even when I tried to give him some redemption, it still didn't look good. Total fail. I'll definitely write him in a better spotlight in the future. Smiley face, but I'm still making other fanfics. I got another project coming up involving KCJR's life in the apocalypse. It's really fun and exciting. There's lots of fluff and angst, no in between, equals, and cool stuff, and aesthetic. You'll love it.